Welcome to Full On Insanity with Nicola Matt. Tonight, I'm chatting with aspiring author Brian Snellings to discuss his life and the inspiration behind his current work in progress. Thanks again, Brian, for joining me. Let's get started. All right, so when did you first start writing?
Well, when I was a young lad. No, I first started writing probably in middle school with one of those little, roses are red, violets are blue. I hate math and science too. And of course I did the, Metallica, Motley Crue, Poison logos while I wasn't paying attention in class. The results showed on my grades. But I did good in English class for some reason because I could write. And then in high school I joined the school paper and wrote for the sports section, and I did creative writing, and I like that because I could be creative, and I'm just a creative type guy. And when I worked for the sports part of the school paper, I was actually approached, me and the editor. It was only two of us. It was me and this guy, Terry Lucas. I got mixed up. Me and Terry both got approached by the editor of the local paper, the Journal Messenger, about covering some games as far as like girls soccer and volleyball and softball, about covering those games and doing recaps, and we got paid for it. So, that never sucks. So we got to do that. And then I went to college, community college, for, 6 years. I mean, if you count the times I went, it was probably a year, but I did creative writing in there, and that's about the only class that I passed. And I just kind of wrote here and there, whenever. I have a bunch of notebooks with stuff I would just come up with and just wrote here and there whenever I wanted to, and, met this guy, Pete Evick, back in the day, and, I would show him stuff and say, hey, man, I wrote this song, and then he would, piss on my dream and tell me, yeah, it's not a song, and, I'd be like, hey, thanks a lot, Dick. So, I mean, that's when I started writing, and, the rest is history. A bunch of unpublished stuff.
That's usually how everybody starts out, is a bunch of unpublished stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's how they start out. That's where I'm still at, so.
So what got you into writing? It sounds like you probably enjoyed the doing the sports writing. So is that kind of what inspired you to keep writing? Or was it poetry and songwriting that actually got you into it?
The sports writing I always enjoyed, because I always enjoyed sports. In high school, I was the quote unquote water boy because I had bad asthma. My eyesight is awful, and I just loved being around sports. I was, the water boy, or actually it was called in high school the manager, for any and every sport I could be. Football, basketball, gymnastics, because, I mean, come on now, that's where the ladies are at. Girls soccer, that's where the ladies are at. What else was I? I know my high school friends could help me out. Any sport. Softball, that's where the ladies are at. So I just love being around sports. And, it just parlayed over to, the sports writing. And I ultimately, dreamt of one day being, having the Redskins beat or the Bullets beat, But then it just kind of, I grew into music, and I used to be the guy that knew all the local bands in the area. And, that's how I met Pete. And then I just got involved with his band and things of that nature. And I forgot what the question was. So
that pretty much answers it. And
okay.
I think I find it very interesting that you say that you kind of grew into music, because most of people that even remotely stayed on my Facebook page for more than 2 seconds, I'm always harping on the fact that when I was in high school, I always dreamed of writing for Metal Edge magazine. I had planned on studying music journalism in college.
Oh, Metal Edge is great.
I loved it. It was always my favorite magazine. I was so upset to hear that the magazine shut down.
Oh, back in the day, you go to the store and you had to get your Metal Edge, you had to get your Circus, and you had to get your Hit Parader.
Yes,
that's the three.
My three. Yes, the three.
Yeah, dude, those
are my favorite.
Those were the three that you had to get every month: the Metal Edge, the Circus, and the Hit Parader.
Hell yeah!
That brought back memories right there.
Definitely. Now there was her name was
Jerry. And if you were a nerd like me, you had to get your Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Because I was a nerd. And yes, I knew it was fake.
Yeah. Well, there was a girl that wrote for, I'm pretty sure she wrote for Middle Edge, because that was always my favorite magazine. Her name was Jerry. Can't remember what her last name was, but, her job, literally, this magazine sent her all across the country to go and interview these bands, and I wanted that bitch's job. I swore that's what I was going to do. I was going to have that bitch's job. That was going to be my damn job one day. Of course, life happened. That's not how things turned out in the least. But, it's amazing and just kind of strange how, your life turns out a little bit different than, what you had planned on it to be. And, but, I always...
Yeah, I planned on being tan, and my life never worked out that way. Ain't that a bitch?
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's all right. I hear that white is the new tan. So you're ahead of the game.
I couldn't get a tan, so, I got a lot of tattoos. That's cool.
Yeah,
I won't get skin cancer.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I got one up on everybody.
Absolutely.
You guys get wrinkles? Not me.
Okay, so being a writer, I have to ask, who's your favorite author?
My favorite author? Well, growing up, right now I don't have a favorite author, but, growing up, really in high school, I came across, because, again, I'm a sports nerd. I'm sorry. John Feinstein, he's a sports, I would say mainly a sports author, but he does have kids' books out. He has the 2 best-selling sports books ever, with Season on the Brink, which is a great book, and A Good Walk Spoiled, which is about golf, so I never read that. But I remember picking up his book in the library at school, The Season on the Brink, which is about a year with Indiana University basketball. And just the way that he told the story and followed the team, and it was probably because I knew, I knew about the Indiana Hoosiers and Coach Bob Knight. Maybe that's why I liked his writing more, but I just really dove into it and loved the books that he wrote. Probably my favorite book that he wrote it's called A Civil War, and it's about the 1995 season. Oh, the book is about leads up to the Army-Navy football game that happens every year, but it's about the 1995 game, and it follows the two teams leading up to that game, that season. Now, if you're not familiar with the Army-Navy game at the end of the year, and you're not even a fan of football, it's a game of pageantry. It's the seniors, it's their last game because they're going to go and get stationed somewhere in that next spring. So it's their last football game unless they get, drafted by the NFL, but they still can't go play for another 4 years. So everything leading up to it is just, I don't know, being a football fan and knowing what I know about the Army-Navy game and how special it is, just the way he wrote it, is one of my favorite books of all time. And he's also, he writes for the Washington Post, and he does, he works for Comcast Sports here on the East Coast. He actually lives in the area. He lives in Maryland. So he does a bunch of college sports here in Maryland, Virginia. So he's one of my favorite authors. And again, he's written a bunch of books about things that I'm aware of. He's written a book about a year with inside the ACC conference for ACC basketball. And again, I can relate to that because what he was writing about, I knew all the players, I knew the teams, etc. There was a book called Friday Night Lights that was big. It came out when I was in high school. And again, it's about high school football in Texas. So nothing's bigger than Friday Night Lights in Texas. That was by H.G. Bissinger. So that was one of my favorite books. Right now, I don't really have a favorite author. I'm just really into, pretty much autobiographies, pretty much of rock stars. I've read every Motley Crue book, including the greatest book ever, The Dirt. Yeah, and I've read, Stephen Adler's book, Duff McKagan's book. I really want to read Sebastian Bach's new book. I gotta buy that and read it. But yeah, mainly just into. I bought it. It's funny because you put something on there on your Facebook a couple weeks ago about how many of you have bought books that you haven't read yet. And I bought like 6 books I haven't read yet. I bought Slash's book. I bought Dave Navarro's book from a couple years ago. The bass player from Pantera, I bought his book. I haven't read it yet. So I have a lot of reading to catch up on.
Yeah, it's usually the way it goes. I've got several that I've been wanting to read, and I don't have the time. It's either I've got to choose between writing and reading, and I've got my own project, so usually the writing wins out. But yeah, you've pretty much just said my bucket list for books. There's several in the rock scene that I've been really wanting to read, and like I said, I haven't had time to really sit down and read anything for pleasure.
Well, I have time. It's just that when I'm on the computer doing stuff, my eyes start to hurt. So by the time I want to read it, because my vision is so not the greatest, my eyes already hurt. So when I, start looking at my Nook, that sounds perverted, by the way. When I start looking at, my Nook and it's blown up, so it's not small print at all. I can maybe look for 5 minutes and then I start getting a headache. So that's my problem.
Yeah, eye strain, and that's a lot of the problems I have with the headaches that I have. Is just because I sit in front of a computer all the time, and Really, I love my Kindle app. I don't have an actual Kindle, but I do have a Kindle app for my tablet, and I love it. I love that I can tote around, dozens and dozens of books. But I'm the same way. Trying to read on the computer screen or on a Kindle screen or whatever, it's really bad on the eyes. And I'm still a paper and ink kind of girl. I still would really much rather have a paper book in my hand, but I guess I'm old school that way.
Well, no, I would too, but it's just way too small.
Yeah, that's true.
It's way too small for me.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is I still have a bunch of books that. Well, okay, I can't say that. I still have all of the books that that Motley has done, like Tommy's book, Nikki's book, Vince's book, and the hardback of The Dirt. And I kept those because, I'm a huge Motley guy. And there's nothing like having a book in your hand. That's what we grew up on, was a book in our hand to read.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That new book smell.
Yeah, or even that old book smell.
Oh, those are even better. I love the way a library smells.
No, I'm not all into that now. I don't read that much. But, I do like the technology of a Kindle, of a Nook, whatever, for people like me who, are half-ass blind. And what's finally awesome, and I need to do this quick, is that finally, after many years, The Dirt is now on Kindle on Barnes & Noble. For many years, it has not been available for the Kindle or Nook. So now they have finally put it on there, so I need to go snatch that up.
Yeah, definitely. They may decide to discontinue it again.
Yeah, because that is my favorite book ever. And it's so awesome that I need to go pick that up.
So let's talk about the book that you're currently writing. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, well, how about let's talk about how I got the opportunity to do this book.
Okay, even better.
So, I wanted to write a book, and I'm OCD. So, my good friend, Mr. Pete Evick, wrote a book and put it out. So I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to nag him about it. I said, Pete, I want to write this book. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? He says to me, Whitey, just write. I'm like, yeah, Pete, but how do I do this while I'm writing? How do I do that? I'm like, how do I do this? Whitey, you can't do anything until you write. Yeah, Pete, what about this? What about this? What about that? Whitey, shut up. Just go write. So he won't give me answers. So I decided I'm going to find answers. So I went guerrilla style. I went looking on Facebook for any person who was a writer, an author, a publisher, anybody who had anything to do with publishing, writing. They were a poet. I even went and found someone that worked, that was a librarian, and someone that worked at Barnes & Noble. Okay. I would friend request these people. Some of them would answer. Some of them would not answer my friend request. Those that did answer my friend request, accepted me, I would thank them, and then I would private message them and ask them if I could ask them a few questions. Okay? Those that sat on it for 7 days but no answer, I would just delete them because obviously they're not going to answer my questions. A couple of them would say yes. I'd ask my questions. They wouldn't answer. So obviously they're not going to answer my questions, so I deleted them. One person gave me like one or two vague answers. And then it came down to, you hadn't answered yet. And then there's a lady in Tacoma, Washington. She said, sure, hon, ask away. So I asked her my questions. And I don't know why I never saved her name or her responses after she gave them to me, because that's the best motivation ever. This lady in Tacoma, Washington, who owned her own indie publishing house, she asked about the story and everything, and she responded by, I can't remember exactly, that's why I wish I saved it, but I do remember the part where she told me I'd be lucky if I could go to Staples, have a copy bound, and sell it out of the trunk of my car. That's exactly what she told me. I remember that part very much. Okay. And then I come across you. Remember, you answered my questions, and then you offered me the opportunity to write a book. And now I'm writing a book. And what was your question about the book?
Well, we were talking about, just kind of telling us a little bit about the book itself.
Oh, the book, okay. See, I wanted to make sure I answered that part of the question, but the book is about my battle with depression that just kind of came up out of nowhere at the end of 2003, and the struggles that I've had with it, the good and the bad, and the medication struggles, the the very dark times I've had. It's very raw. It's very real. I mean, you guys have given me the opportunity to, the freedom to not censor. It's pretty much me now. I'm talking to me from 2004. Being very raw, very, very real, and it's to help someone out there who may be going through this, or to help a parent or a friend who may have someone who's going through this, to maybe help them understand a little bit better. There is hope. It doesn't. You can be on medication. It took 12 years for me to be on a combination of medicine that lasted more than 3 months. That's the part that sucks. It's finding the right combination of medication to where you feel, good. So, it's to help people who, may be down, may be scared. It's to help them to see that, hey, someone's been there. There is hope. It's to also educate people, hey, this is what someone went through, as far as telling them, hey, you gotta remember your medications. You gotta take them every day. You gotta learn what you're on. You gotta learn how much to take. You gotta remember when to take them. And simple things like that. So it's a true story plus a little, education.
Well, it sounds really interesting, and I want to take a moment to kind of back up. I know when you first approached me, I had absolutely no idea who you were. Didn't realize that you were actually friends with Pete, and we were messaging back and forth and kind of talking about the book. And even though I actually deal purely in fiction, it's all romance, fiction, paranormal, fantasy, all of this kind of stuff. But just I've suffered from depression growing up. Still fight it, still deal with it. I was diagnosed as being bipolar when I was in high school. I've been suicidal. I've been there. I understand how difficult it is and how difficult it can be talking about it. And when we first started discussing just the whole industry, I have been independently published for 12 years. Before that, I was in and out of publishing, trade publishing off and on, rejection letter after rejection letter. I understand how very difficult this industry is. It will chew you up and spit you back out and won't think twice about it. I was one of those that I learned the hard way on how to do everything because I got started in this before there was such a thing as publishing through Kindle with Amazon. When I first started independently publishing, the only option you had was to publish a paperback. There was no ebook. There wasn't a Kindle. There wasn't a Nook. You didn't have any of these things. Closest thing to an ebook you got was a PDF. So I learned from the ground up how to do all this. And I knew with the way that you were talking that you weren't going to be happy just uploading a Word file and putting it out there on Amazon, which a lot of people do without any editing, no formatting, no graphic artwork, nothing. They're just uploading whatever they vomit out onto the page. And I knew just from talking to you that you were not going to be happy doing that. You wanted a quality product. You wanted to have something that you were proud of. And I think it's important to mention, we talk about Pete in the book that he wrote, and he actually went through, I believe that the press actually is trade publishing, but I believe it's a small press. I haven't actually looked into it. I know Pete mentioned something about that he knew the person who owned the company. So, but when you are just dealing with something to where you write it and you hand it off to somebody else and, you don't really have to worry about it, it's completely different when you're independently published. You are having to hire the editors, hire the formatters, hire the graphic artists to do all that, or you have to learn to do it yourself. So it's incredibly difficult, not just to produce the product, but to even, make a name for yourself. We all joke in the indie community stating that trying to get noticed in the indie or in the book publishing world is about like trying to get a drop of water and stand out in the middle of the Atlantic. It's just completely saturated. And of course, I say this from the perspective of marketing fantasy books. And just from what I've learned from you and what you wanted to do with this book, I very much wanted to help you with this just because I knew how difficult it was going to be. And you were very determined to do this. But you are, like most authors that want to go independent, completely overwhelmed with the process. But, I felt very strongly about the project that you were trying to put out, which is why I offered to help you even before, I realized who you actually were. So I know I talk about when I first started reading the first chapter that you had written that I was kind of blown away because I was under the impression that you had never actually written anything before, that this was your first attempt at trying to write anything. It wasn't until later that I found out about writing for the newspapers and everything. So, but just reading what little bit I've read, I think this is going to be a really awesome book, I think it's going to help a lot of people. Let's talk about the writing process, what you've went through as far as writing this particular book that you're currently working on.
The writing process was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, because the book is about me. And, who knows me better than me? So I thought, this will be easy. I'll knock this thing out in a year. Yeah, not so much. I mean, it's nonfiction. It's real. I've lived it. Yet it seems harder to write than if I were going to write some fiction. I mean, I remember everything, but yet it seems, because I remember everything, it's just harder to write, which I really don't understand why that is. So, I don't know. It's strange. And with the situation that the book is about, as I'm writing it, I have to stop, and I have a bunch of people who are relative to the story. I have permission to use their first names. Some people I haven't even asked because they're no longer in my life. So my attitude is, well, they're never going to see it, so I'm going to use their first name. And there are people that still are in my life, not on a regular basis, but I do respect them, and I've changed their first name, not using any last names. And I've had to make a list of all these names, so when it comes down further in the book, I'll remember what their name was, so I don't mistakenly use their first name when I'm supposed to use their fake name. And it is a lot harder, as far as getting facts straight, and the early chapters of the book, they're kind of the boring chapters of the book. They're not like I grew up here, in this neighborhood, because I hate those kind of chapters. I want to get to the meat. So I don't bore the readers with that kind of crap. I saved you guys all that stuff. But it is kind of, you need to know where the whole thing started. So I kind of get you right to that. So I saved you guys, a lot of crappy reading. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge, because I've never written a book before. I've always written poems or what I thought were songs, or, never written a book. Never until last year, never even thought about reading a book, or writing a book, I'm sorry. So it's definitely been a challenge. And as I'm looking at my desk right now, there's a piece of paper up there that says, "Make it happen." And that was a saying that we had when I worked for Brett Michaels' band, that the crew used that a certain a certain member of the band told the crew all the time. And underneath it, it says, "Go right, bitch." So I need to go right and make it happen. And that's what I'm going to do. And eventually, my book will come out. So, but the writing process is getting easier now that I'm, getting past the hurdles that were, the hard part. But it still has its moments. The fact that, hey, I want to sit down and I'm going to sit down and write. Well, you can't just sit down and write if you're not feeling it. And that's the frustrating part. Because I'll be sitting here watching TV, and there'll be nothing on TV. Well, I'm going to get up and write. Okay, well, I sit in front of my computer, and nothing's coming to my mind. And there's nothing on TV. Why can't I write? Because I'm not feeling it. And if I try to write, it's going to be a bunch of shit. And my friend Pete Evick said, look, you're not always going to feel it. You might feel it at 3 a.m., and you're going to wake up and write for 2 or 3 hours. That's yet to happen. I wish it would. But I do have 3, I think, over there, maybe 4 chapters that are completely outlined that could just go right from that outline right into a chapter. So that's pretty good. And you told me before, too, that, just if you're not feel like finishing one chapter, just go ahead and skip and write out another chapter. I can't do that because of my OCD. I mean, it has to go A, B, C, D, E. I can't go A, E, B, D, C. I can't do that. I will be completely lost. So, I have to go A, B, C, D, E. Especially on the file that we're sharing. So, but I have a lot of time on my hands now, and in between these situations that I am involved in, I have pretty much nothing but time on my hands. So I looked over my notes yesterday. I actually went back and went through what I've written yesterday as far as the book was. And I told you, I deleted a lot of it because it just didn't belong there. It didn't make any sense. And I thank you for what you said about, what you read and how it was, very good. Because when I went back and read it yesterday, it just seemed like a bunch of dog shit. And I'm not going to lie, but I guess the writer is always harder on their work than other people.
Absolutely.
But aside from that, the process is a lot easier than it was when I started. So I'm just going to keep plugging away and, I'll get there.
Well, let's take a moment and talk about who has inspired you the most on this journey of writing this new novel.
Again, I got to throw his name in there. Pete Evick. Because, he's inspired me not only in writing this, but just in everything. Since I've known the guy back in 95, just the things that he's accomplished since then. I joked with him the other day on text. I mean, he was in a national touring band, and when that was over, he started his own band. I remember the first show that he did where he was going to sing the whole night and how nervous he was, and he pulled it off, and ever since then he's done the Bret Michaels thing since 2004, and is award-winning producer and candle maker and author and whatever the heck else he's done. But I've always found inspiration in him. I mean, he's always encouraged me, and he's always encouraged me, and just I don't know. He's always he's always been the inspiration, because I mean, if he can do it, why can't anyone else? I mean, I don't mean that that probably came out wrong. I don't mean that as an insult or anything. But I mean, he's told me, if you want it bad enough, then and actually I'm looking at it right now on my wall. If you want it bad enough, then make it happen.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I mean, I've asked him many times. I mean, how do you make all this stuff happen? I mean, he was on tour, and we were all on tour, and he's doing stuff for Bret musically, doing stuff, flying out. I mean, I remember when we were on tour, and he was doing I can't remember which album it was, but it was the Bret Michaels and Friends. I mean, we'd be on tour. He would fly to Ace Frehley's house to record Ace's parts for whatever song, fly back and meet us at whatever city, then get on the bus and mix all that stuff, and somehow write part of his book, and do whatever else, and catch a nap before sound check. And I was like, dude, how do you do it? He's like, there's not enough hours in the day. And now he has a successful candle business, in the middle of Manassas. I mean, the dude is amazing. He's a great friend. And I remember talking to him a couple months ago, and I told you about this. When I was talking to him, and he asked how the book was going, I said, man, I'm frustrated. I'm just not feeling it. But I have all these things that keep coming to mind, but I don't feel like writing. And he said, don't force it. When it comes, it will come. And it might be 3 a.m, and you'll want to get up and write. And he was right. And I look at it right now, and I have probably 4 chapters pretty much outlined to detail, where all I have to do is look at the outline, and the chapters are pretty much written themselves. So, and actually I have 5, because I think I wrote one out yesterday too. So, I'm feeling it. I am feeling it, and I have plenty of time now. So.
Well, that's good. I know me and some of my author friends were complaining about that someone had said on Facebook that they had written the very first book they wrote, they pounded out something like 30, 45 days. They'd written a 50,000-word novel, and it comes and goes, and it really does. This last novel that I wrote, almost 50,000 words, and I wrote it in like 3.5 weeks. And this is on top of, working 45 plus hours a week at my regular job, and podcast and blog and what have you, websites and everything. And it's been a full month since I got that book ready and got the pre-orders up. And I think I may have written 3,000 words on my next book, all total, because I'm like you, I'm just not feeling it. I'm frustrated, but I've noticed with me, I always go through this slump after I've written something and get it ready and get it published. I always have this month or two of this. it's almost like a depression with me that I don't
But
want to write.
I am writing, though.
Well, that's good, and that's important. We always say, and of course, me and Vern Brady with Inkland's Publishing was discussing this on our podcast interview a couple of weeks ago, that it's about being productive. As long as you are doing something towards that novel or your brand building, and it could be anything. If you're not writing, you're outlining. If you're not doing that, then you're researching. You're building up a brand recognition. Just
Well, even the other day,
interviews.
I don't know if you saw it, but I know you commented on it, and then I wrote it after you commented. But on, was it Taylor Dawn?
Yes.
On her the other day, I think it was like last Saturday, when she did her little thing about how she's going to be out of town when Metallica comes to town, and use song titles.
Yes. That was
I commented after that using Metallica song titles. Did you see that?
I did see that.
See, I used a couple song titles too. See, I like doing that. I still need to do that sign down one too.
But yeah, that was totally awesome.
Yeah, I need to find my sign down song title list so I can start doing that.
I thought that was pretty cool. I've done that before. Use song titles as part of my text. Just writing because it's fun. Pay homage to the band. So,
yeah.
And speaking of music, what is your? I don't want to discuss genres. How about all-time favorite bands? I bet you're going to say Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what got me into. I mean I was a rap kid because I grew up in kind of the hood, but I didn't have cable. Okay, because we didn't have cable because my parents were frugal. So I went over to my grandma's where my cousin lived, and I got to stay the night one night, and it was a Saturday night, and they had cable because my grandma had cable. So I remember my grandma would stay late with my cousin, and he turned it to the station called MTV, and there was this band on there, and all I remember was they were dressed up really cool, and there was these things shooting out of the kick drum. I didn't know what they were called, and that band was awesome. And I said, "Who is this?" My cousin said, "Motley Crue." I was like, "Dude, they're awesome," because it was the Looks at Kill video, and then the next video after it, it was Kiss. And I was like, "Dude, who are these dudes? Their faces are all painted." And it was the Love It Loud video, and I don't know who the hell else was after them, but I was hooked. And my cousin was like, I said, "You have this stuff like on tape?" He's like, "Yeah." So he went and copied me the Shot the Devil tape, and then the Kiss tape, and like I don't know what the hell else he taped, but I was hooked on Motley ever since then. Mm-hmm. Kiss, I didn't like any of their other shit, but yeah, that's when I was hooked on rock and didn't give a damn about rap ever since then. So my cousin got me into rock music.
Well, everybody knows that I am a complete and utter Poison fan. They were my gateway band. They started my love of metal and rock and hair bands. And I just, us sitting here discussing Pete, Pete's always talking on Facebook about, how much Brett has inspired him, all the things that Brett's accomplished, and, everything that he's done. But just sitting here and, kind of looking back on everything that Pete's done, Pete is thoroughly following in Brett's footsteps. Because, he's done all of these really awesome things throughout his life. And, if I could just, hope to reach 1/10 of that level of success, then I would be happy. But I just
Pete's never written a song in the bathroom in a laundromat in Dallas, Texas, though.
That's true. But he's done a lot of other awesome things. So, okay, Pete, put that on your bucket list. Put that on your bucket list. Come up with a song while you're pouring a candle.
Yeah, he could do that. He could write a song in the bathroom in the back of the candle store while he's making a candle.
Absolutely.
All right, now I'm going to shut up now before I get in trouble.
Love you, Pete. But yeah, and I'd like for my listeners, when we say tape, we actually mean cassette tape. I know that's probably before some of my readers.
Yeah.
But oh yes,
for you under 30-year-olds.
Yes. Me and one of the authors that I was interviewing recently, we were talking about CDs and, being the generation that we're in. I don't want to say an older generation, but just in the generation that we're in.
Oh, you mean when CDs came in big ass cardboard boxes?
Yes.
And someone said, "Hey, you know what? We're wasting a lot of cardboard. Maybe we should cut that down."
Yes. And they absolutely did come in these damn huge chunks of card. I mean, it was practically a pizza box. You could literally have a pan pizza, a little personal pan pizza in that thing.
It was, and everyone was like, "Well, what's the deal with all the cardboard?"
Yeah, but everything now is digital downloads, and I have not bought an actual CD in years. I mean, everything now, I don't even have an MP3 player anymore. Everything's been on my phone for like the last 4 or 5 phones that I've owned. And
my friend Heather Cornell, love you, Heather. She still buys CDs. I said, "Heather, why do you buy CDs?" Because I don't have a. She says she doesn't have a iPod Connect cord in either one of her cars. So she still goes and buys CDs.
Well, now I'm again old school. It's just like
I said, "What are you going to do when they stop making them, Heather?"
Oh, nostalgia. I finally broke down. Like I said, I have not bought an actual CD in probably 10 or 15 years. And I didn't want to do downloads. If I'm going to buy music, then I want CDs. I want to be able to, rip the CD, because I've lost music over the years that I had because, my MP3 player messed up or my phone went out and I wasn't able to transfer all my data over to the new phone. So I've always made a point that I will buy CDs just to have them. But like I said, I haven't bought any in about 15 years. And I broke down probably about a year ago and ordered, because you couldn't buy it in stores, I went and ordered the last 2 Black Veil Brides items, the CDs. And when I got these things, now like I said, I have not opened up a CD in well over a decade and a half. I pulled the plastic off of these things and opened them up. And do you remember that new CD smell? The ink in the paper?
No. Apparently you're all about smells, though. Kind of worried about you.
But it was like this instant rush of nostalgia. It was like being transported back to high school. And I'm sitting there like freaking out, literally with this thing up around my face going, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm back in high school." But yeah, apparently I'm all about smells.
I think you have some issues you might need to take care of.
But yes, I love it though. Although someone else on Facebook had talked about some of the the weird things that the smells that they liked. Because she liked, I can't remember, electronics. She liked the way that a new electronic smells when you first pull it out of that box. It has that kind of electric, plasticky smell. And so everybody gets to discussing, about all the different things that they like, gas, fresh cut lawn. For me, it's the CDs and the way an old book smells. And she put a comment on there.
Okay, you want to talk about smells? This medication I got yesterday. Antibiotic, not my headache medication, but another medication I got, an antibiotic. I opened the cap. That is the worst thing I've ever smelled in my life. It's this antibiotic. I was like, holy hell. And then I set the bottle down, and I was sitting on my bed, a good 4 feet away. I could still smell this medication. It was god-awful. But apparently it's working really good because this little freaking whatever it's called, cyst is going down quick. So that's something that god-awful works that good, then there must be a reason it smells that god-awful.
Yeah, those liquid antibiotics, some of those can get really bad. The worst thing in the world is triaminic. Triaminic is another one of those smells and tastes that instantly transports me back to childhood and makes me want to gag. It apparently takes me to a not very happy place. But I cannot stand the way triaminic cough syrup smells. I've refused to buy it for my kids. I've never bought it because just the smell of it, and again, I guess it's that nostalgia thing. It's just, it brings up a lot of really bad memories, and I can't. And I guess maybe that's why the CDs, why I like the smell so much, because music was, that was my happy place. That's where I went to escape from everything that was going on and going wrong in my life. So, that was my happy. Every month I would go and I'd buy my Metal Edge magazine and get my Hit Parader, and I would, go buy a new CD. And that was my little happy thing. And I guess it's that paper and ink kind of smell that I love so much that really brings back some of the more happier memories for me. Pop culture. Of course, I know you're not big on TV series. You're not a Walking Dead head. Therefore, we cannot be friends. Sorry.
Ask me all the pop culture you want. I have tons of random answers. TV series, I like Designated Survivor. I love that show. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it comes on ABC. It's the second season starts March 8th.
I don't have ABC. That's why I haven't been watching it.
How do you have ABC? That's a national network.
It's what I get for having direct TV. I mean, you have to pay extra for local channels. I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yes, I don't know how the hell they manage that, but yes, of course, now damn smart TVs don't come with freaking antennas, so you have to pay extra to get, local channels. And the only thing we ended up buying locals, we got Fox, and we've got WDAM, which is a local TV station out in Isabuchi, Mississippi, probably about 30, 40 miles from here. So, but that's it. We would have to pay extra for ABC, actually WDAM is NBC, but ABC, CBS, that's the other one. So we don't have those channels. We'd have to pay extra for them. But and I can't even remember why in the hell we ended up getting Fox in the first place.
That doesn't sound like a ripoff at all.
No, not at all. No. Yeah, we're going to charge you for something that you could use if you attach your antenna. Oops, sorry, smart TVs, no such thing. Ha-ha. Fuck you. Nothing like giving the good old screwing. I do it every time I pick up a bill.
I mean, damn, at least use lube.
Right, Warn me, something. Hell no. Bend over. Why? Never mind why. You're fixing to find out.
Nice.
But, yeah.
All right. What pop culture you got? Is Trump the devil? Yes.
Have you been watching, speaking of which, have you been watching Lucifer?
No, I don't watch much TV. I don't keep track of what's on. Because up until the 12th, I was, working weird days, and so I never knew what was on, because usually I was working 1 to 10. And the only show I regularly watched was Designated Survivor, and the 2 or 3 shows I regularly watched were already on hiatus. So the one got canceled, The other one doesn't come back on until April, and then Designated Survivor comes back on March 8th. And now I watch one that actually comes on tonight. I'm already recording Training Day. Aside from that, I don't really know what comes on, aside from sports. So no, I haven't watched Lucifer. What channel does that come on?
Let's see. I think that is NBC, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe that's NBC. It's whatever channel Grimm comes on. It's the same channel, I believe. Or hell, it may come on Fox. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it's NBC though. But it just ended its second season. They're supposed to be picking it up for a third. It's actually been pretty interesting. It's a new twist on the same old crap. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, about all I get to watch anymore is TV shows, and it's, thanks to a DVR. If it wasn't for that, I'd never get to watch anything. But it got to where it costs so damn much to go to a movie theater till I just wait till it comes out on to the DVD, and then I'll hit up the red box eventually. But yeah, we've lost a lot of good shows. They discontinued Salem. This is the last series of Grimm that's going to be going off. We've got the last 10 episodes of Teen Wolf will be coming on over the summer, and then they're doing away with that. They did a TV adaptation of Scream, which we just finished the second season of it a couple months ago. It was actually, pretty interesting. I enjoyed watching it. Let's see. We are on the down slope of season 6 of Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead is supposed to be picked back up in June. Into the Badlands is a new one that came on. Whatever the hell channel Walking Dead comes on. AMC, I think, is it. But we're about to pick up season 2 of it, and it's been fairly interesting. It's not like anything that I've seen here.
What is that one about?
Into the Badlands?
Yeah.
It's like this it's not really necessarily post-apocalyptic. It's supposed to be like something apocalyptic, but rather than it looking like a futuristic wasteland, it looks more like something from out of the 18th or early 19th century.
Okay, never mind.
So, but it's like, but wherever they're at, they're not in America. They're like in China or someplace. And
there was some show I saw. It was on Facebook. I never wrote down the name of the show, but there was some show on some network that I think was going into its second season, and it looked really good. But again, I never wrote down the name of the show.
Now, Into the Badlands has been pretty good, but it's basically like everything is broken out into territories, and what lies beyond the borders, nobody knows. It's just speculated because no one's allowed to go there. And it's collectively called the Badlands. And the people that run the different territories are called barons. And there's a very delicate truce with the barons going on right now. And each one of the barons have their own personal assassins. They're warriors that handle disputes and whatnot. And the storyline is centered around one particular assassin and the baron that he works for. And of course, conflict. He found this weird kid that can do all these weird-ass mystical things when he fights that no one else has been able to do. And of course, word is slowly spreading what this kid can do, and everybody's looking for him and trying to find him, and he's hiding out, and there's love interest and all this kind of crap. But it's been fairly interesting.
Have you seen that show? It's on Netflix. Called Between.
I don't think I've heard about that one. And of course, I'm one of the weirdos that doesn't have Netflix.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
Yes, I do not have Netflix, and I do not have Hulu. I live a very sheltered life.
Netflix is like $10 a month.
I know. I keep saying I need to break down and, get Netflix, but shit, I'm paying like $170 for DirecTV. You'd think there'd be something good on, but no. Again, the royal screwing.
Hey, you need to get Netflix. When you get Netflix, let me know. Because I'm pretty sure you'd like Between, because it's kind of like your thing, which is, surprising that I liked it. But I think it's your kind of thing you'd like.
And I've heard several people talk about a couple of different interesting Netflix shows that I think would be interesting. And there was one, I think this is Netflix, and it may not be, Stranger Things. I think is the name of it.
Yeah, I think that's a Netflix thing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I was wanting to watch it. There was something else that people were talking about, but I don't think it came on Netflix. But I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of like Stranger Things.
What, Shameless?
No.
Apparently that's popular. I don't know what that's about. But
I've not heard that one. And, of course, everybody talks about Orange is the New Black.
That's good.
Yeah, from the couple of previews I saw of it, that was another one that I really wanted to watch.
I'm a guy and I love Orange is the New Black. Except what I don't like is the seasons start every June. Okay, well, of course you're going to binge watch because it's that great. And, I mean, once you watch all 15 episodes, you have to wait a whole year, for the next season. So this June, when they start, you literally have to go back to last season and watch like the last 3 episodes to even remember what happened last season.
Oh, yeah, I do that every time a new season starts. I'll have to go back and watch.
And I'm really waiting for this Sons of Anarchy prequel to hit Fox, or hit FX.
Now, that was something else that I tried to get into, but just could not. I really wanted to watch Sons of Anarchy. I think I managed.
How could you not get into that?
I just could not get into it. I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I just was not feeling it. But I was the same way about Teen Wolf. Now, I freaking love Teen Wolf, but
look, Miss Author. You can't judge a book by the first chapter.
Yes, you have to pull them into the first chapter, but yeah, I know. I should have kept watching.
Okay, this is how I don't like reading. You watching the first 2 episodes is kind of like me not liking the first chapter of a book where they talk about their childhood and where they were raised, and I don't want to read all that bullshit, but you kind of have to, read the boring shit before you can get into the meat about their drug addiction and whores and, the rock stardom. I don't want to read about you growing up in fucking Indigo, California, and your boring-ass life. No, I want to read about you dropping out of high school, starting a band, doing drugs. I want to jump to that. But you can't jump to that because you have to read the first chapter about how you grew up and, your mom's boyfriend beat the shit out of you. And, if I didn't read that part, I wouldn't understand how you're fucked up now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, duly noted. But, yeah, I did, and I really should have kept watching, but I watched the first 2 episodes and just could not get into it. But I did the same thing with Teen Wolf. I watched, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes, freaking hated it. And me, paranormal writer here, but I freaking hated Teen Wolf. And, like, the last 3 episodes, I think it was, I started watching right at the end of the season and got, it took them, like you said, it took them that freaking long to get to the good part in season 1 because, before it's just, 2 teenage boys running around in the woods, blah, blah, nobody gives a fuck. Oh, I got bit, now I'm turning into a werewolf. What's going on? It's like hitting puberty again. Nobody gives a shit. But, then we finally get to the end of season 1, and you've finally got conflict and find out who bit him and everything, and now it's, like, really, really good. So I should have done the same thing with Sons of Anarchy, but...
well, if I remember correctly, I believe it's like the first half of season 1 kind of slowly sucks you in. But yeah, like the end of season 1 really starts getting good. And then season 2 on is, season 2 on is, money. I forget what season it is, but they get one season they go to Ireland, and I mean, you'll understand why if you watch the earlier seasons, but that season's kind of slow. It's still good, but it's kind of slow. But after that one, it's on. But no, the whole series is great.
I'm totally going to have to go and binge watch.
Yeah, you can't judge a series by its first 2 episodes. Revenge is good too. That's on Netflix. That's like a chick kind of series, but I liked it a lot actually.
Nothing wrong with chick flicks.
No, well, I'm just saying it was an ABC show, and it's kind of a lot of chicks told me about it. I liked it.
Hey, gotta love our sword fights. Everybody, and of course I'm another one of the dumbasses that didn't watch Game of Thrones, but it's only because I did not have HBO. That's the only reason why I never watched it.
I didn't watch it because I don't like that kind of shit.
I love my fantasy. So that, yeah, I'm going to blame not getting to watch Sons of Anarchy on my husband. With him and his, 500 episodes of freaking Bleach that he never would delete off the damn DVR to give me some room. So all my Sons of Anarchy went poof.
Nice.
I'm going to blame it on him. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
There you go. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks again. I enjoyed having you, and we'll have to make plans to do it again when you get more into the book.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Brian, for chatting with me tonight. You have shed a lot of light on your work in progress, and I know this is going to help a lot of people. Thanks again to everyone who has tuned in to listen to this episode. Until next time, this is Nicola Matthews saying, peace, love, and books, y'all.